Hello and welcome to a new tournament, a new expansion, more importantly, Dominion Allies. The new tournament is to commemorate the release of Dominion Allies, the 14th expansion, I think, and it'll help me get used to the new cards as well. In the tournament, we play matches of 4 games each. I think I have 4 matches in the group stage, and then we may progress from there. Now we'll look at the cards individually as best as possible here. So the first one we have on screen is Innkeeper, which can be a card or an action, or it could be something like a warehouse. Something like a warehouse. You could draw 3 and then discard 3, or then draw 5 and discard 6. So super warehouse if you want it, or just regular warehouse, or plus card plus action. There are a couple new mechanics in the expansion, and when we get to them we will discuss them in more detail. So we have our first kingdom, but we'll go to the cards first. After Innkeeper, you'll notice there's Battle Plan, and this is one of the new mechanics in the expansion, rotating pile. So you'll see on the right side there are 4 sets of 4 cards. At the top of the pile is Battle Plan, a card and an action, very simple, and you can draw an extra card if you have another attack card in your hand. And the key part, well, the new part anyway, is that you may rotate any supply pile. So what happens is all the battle plans get moved to the bottom of the pile, and then the archers are revealed. The text is a bit cut off for the archer there, but it's a discard attack. And then below the archers, again, only the battle plan can rotate these piles. Below the archer is the Warlord, which does not allow you to play more than 2 copies of an action. Quite a strong effect, I think. And finally, at the bottom of the pile is the Territory, which is a green card. It's worth some points depending on how many other green cards you have. That is the general idea of the whole battle plan. The clash pile, as you see, is written down here, the clash pile. So only the battle plan can rotate, and then you now have to decide when to rotate, when you think is best to rotate. And it's sort of like a mini black market in that if you manage your deck well enough, you could lock your opponent out of certain cards. For example, you could be the only one with Warlords. If you get a Warlord, then cover up the pile and your opponent has no way to reveal that Warlord again. Okay. So as we progress into the match, the number of allies cards will increase. And we have the full kingdom here. So this will now show you, actually I should go back there because we were not able to see everything. So let me just adjust that. Don't want to resign. Yeah, okay. So here, the other 2 new cards is Merchant Camp. Well, there are 3 new cards actually. Merchant Camp, when you discard this from play, you may place it on top of your deck, and it's a flat village. It doesn't draw a card, it gives you a coin. So I now have to explain Bauble and this order thing, Order of Masons. So Bauble lets you pick 2 things, a buy, a coin, a favor, or a top deck. And the favor needs to be explained with respect to the allies. So there, I need to go back again. The ally that we have on the board is the brown card, landscape card, called Order of Masons. So here, if you have a favor, which you get from the liaisons, the Bauble in this case, you can use your favor to exclude 2 cards from your shuffle, which is quite good actually. And this is called the Order of Masons. So your allies in this game are these Masons, and you could use them if you have favors, and the favors you get from the liaison cards. In this case, it's Bauble. So for the tournament, we are required to have an ally on the kingdom for all the games that we play. It doesn't have to be the same one. There are about 23 of these, if I recall correctly. The first one that we picked was the Order of Masons. So the favor lets you exclude a couple cards from your shuffle. Per favor you have. So if you have 2 favors, you could potentially exclude 4 cards from your shuffle. Give yourself a nice clean shuffle. So it seems to be decent. Anyway, so let's move on to the Kingdom now. Here, a bit overwhelming with all the new cards. We did, we found what, 4 new cards here? Yeah, the Battle Plan, the Merchant Camp, the Innkeeper, the Bauble, and the Order of Masons, if you want to count that as an extra card. So it wasn't entirely clear to me what to do here. There is some draw in Ranger, and there's a village in Merchant Camp. Not the best, because Merchant Camp doesn't draw cards, and Ranger, you have to play it twice for it to draw cards. You get 5 of them on a plus buy though, but it's gonna be hard work to string together something meaningful here, I feel. Anyway, so Seanahan, we were in voice chat for this, which is very helpful. He had a lot more ideas and better ideas for the entirety of this match, so I'll share some of them as things go along. So he opens with a Bauble and a Ranger, and then opts to use the Order of Masons to exclude what I would presume is 2 estates from the shuffle. Now me, I open with a Haven. Bear in mind, I don't really know what I'm doing. This is just to learn things. And a Conspirator. Okay, the idea here is to go get a Haggler, put the Haggler in play, and then buy Ranger, gain Merchant Camp. That was the plan there for me. Get 5 and then do that. Here I use my favor, and at the start of the game, you always start with 1 favor. So you can always get, a sample as a sample of what the ally can do for you. So I exclude the 2 estates. Now, bear in mind, because I could do that, I didn't have to open in a traditional way to try to get to 5. I opted for a traditional way here with the Conspirator acting as a silver and a Haven to help set aside money, but I didn't have to do that. Bauble and Ranger would probably get you to 5 if you exclude 2 estates from your shuffle anyway. So something to keep in mind, new mechanics, Alright, so Sean comes down, the Ranger gets played as a monk, he gets them to 5, so they go for the Haggler. I miss my 5, but I get a Merchant Camp. The Bauble there, they used it to top deck the Haggler, so they took a coin on the top deck, which is why you see the Haggler straight away. And they are able to get 5 even, so they have their pick of what they want from the Kingdom. Probably going to be no. So I thought it was going to be Ranger and Merchant Camp. Instead, they go for Innkeeper and Merchant Camp. So the Innkeeper is a Sifter. Could be Warehouse. Could look at more cards than Warehouse, but you'll have to discard more as well. And they take the Merchant Camp as well. So this Innkeeper will turn out to be important because there's no trash in the Kingdom, if you haven't realized. None of the new cards trash. So it'll help line up the Merchant Camps and the Rangers and eventually Conspirators. The Haven and the Conspirator show up at the bottom of the shuffle here, so I won't play the Haven because I want the Haggler in the shuffle as soon as possible. I get my Haggler and we are off now. A little bit later, but what can you do? Merchant Camp for Sean. I get a Bauble here myself. I do quite like top decking cards, really. That does save you quite a bit of time, especially when you are unable to trash in this kind of Kingdom here. So over to Sean. I'll just say Sean. Merchant Camp, Ranger, and the Haggler comes down. 2 buys. So they could haggle, 4 things potentially, but probably not. I expect this to be just more Rangers and Merchant Camps. I don't see what else there is to do in the Kingdom. Try to get your draw up as much as possible, then add some Conspirators, perhaps. So they do make that play. I get my Haggler out as well. I should have set aside a copper here because I was only ever going to buy Ranger, Haggle, Merchant Camp, but sometimes you do dumb things. Oh, never mind. I took a Battle Plan instead. Wow, that alright. So we take the Battle Plan instead to get some action going with the rotating piles. Innkeeper for Seanahan goes for the +6 cards and +5 cards, sorry, and then has to discard 6. That does allow them to connect the Merchant Camp and Ranger twice and find the Haggler. Very good work from the Innkeeper there. And they get up to, well, enough money to make some plays. They could do double Merchant Camp, double Haven of the Haggler, or they could just do Ranger Merchant Camp, which is what I was expecting for most of this building phase, this middle phase of the game here. I think they do opt for double Merchant Camp, or I think they opt for Merchant Camp, Haven, Battle Plan, Haven, if I'm correct. No, Merchant Camp, Haven. Yeah, Battle Plan, Haven. Okay, so I was right there. 6, no buy for me. Not the greatest hand in the world. Is gonna just be another ranger, and I choose not to top deck, or do I choose? I choose to top deck the Merchant Camp there because the ranger is coming up, as well as the Haggler. This Merchant Camp, you have to be judicious when you top deck. Don't just, spam click, yeah, top deck, top deck, top deck, top deck. Uh, Sometimes top decking is not good, and you can just let it go to the discard so that you have a better chance of seeing um more cards later on in the shuffle. Anyway, so battle plan comes out, does not rotate. So important decision there. Does not rotate. Doesn't want to let me see the archers, I guess. So doesn't want an archer themselves. As you see here, they only had 3 coin, I believe. Or they do rotate, never mind. So they opt to undo that into a rotate. And they get the money to be able to pick up an archer. So, well, you'll see the archer when it comes around. Alright, so I have Merchant Camp and Ranger connected here. And I'm going to take a favor, and I'm going to top deck as well with this Haggler. So it is going to be another Ranger Merchant Camp combo, and that is going to go on top of the deck. And when I shuffle, I can exclude a couple of states from my shuffle, which is very helpful to connect things in this very junky deck. Sean continues building, connects Merchant Camp and Ranger. The Haven comes out. And there are a few decisions to be made here, especially with respect to Haven, because shuffles, and you don't have to play everything out. You could save things for the next turn. They go up to 6 here is gonna be Ranger and another Haven. So here I do draw 5 with the Ranger, and I am gonna use the favor mid shuffle. So in the bottom left here you see the cards that I will draw. Battle Plan, Copper Estate, and then I still have to get 2 more from the Ranger, but before that happens, the Order of Masons will step in, and I will use it to get rid of the estates. So you only ever really need 1 favor. Well, that's not true. If you had more favors, you could just discard more coppers, for example. But Bauble is our stop guard, so I didn't really want to put too many in the deck. I'll take the 1 favor per shuffle. Battle plan comes up. Here's the archer. Here's what it does. Each other player with 5 or more cards in hand reveals all but 1, and then the turn player has to discard 1 of those. So you get to hide a card from your opponent, and then they get to choose the best of the rest to be discarded. I don't want an archer. It's terminal, and I don't have as many villages, and I would like to pick up a Warlord. So the Warlord on screen here gives you 2 cards at the start of your next turn, and then it prevents players from playing action cards more than 2 times. That's a strong effect, the lockout effect. It does influence deck building, and it can shut down decks if they're built, relying heavily on 1 card, for example, like Hunting Party stacks or something. I don't know. Even here, it is going to have an impact, and you'll see it later on in the game. So we will take the coin here, and not the favor. We will take the top decking because I want to get the Warlord in play as soon as possible. So this will be Warlord haggling Ranger, and then Merchant Camp haggling another Haven. I will not top deck this Merchant Camp. I already top decked 1 with my Bauble there, so I didn't really see the need to top deck a second one. So I top decked 4 cards there. As a result, though, Sean knows 435 cards in my hand, so the archer is working with almost perfect information. They string together a good turn here, putting down a lot of action cards, drawing twice with Ranger, I believe. And they see almost their whole deck. Just 3 cards are left. The Archer comes out. I choose to hide the Ranger from them because I figure they would nick the Warlord. They don't want to be under the influence of the Warlord just yet, and I want to reorganize my Merchant Camp and Rangers so that the next time the Ranger can draw 5. So very good turn from them here. They are connecting all their pieces. The Innkeeper, which I still don't have a copy of, is helping a lot with that. And they have 4 buys, 12 coins. So they can get many, many things. Things of their choice. So they could have gone for Province there and choose they opted to build. So they go for Warlord, haggling a Conspirator. They get a Ranger, haggling a Merchant Camp. And then they get a Merchant Camp, haggling a Haven. And some of those cards go on top of the deck. The Bauble, probably the Camps and the Rangers. And probably the Warlord as well. Anyways. So here, obviously setting aside the Ranger, playing 1 Ranger dead is not very helpful. And besides, I could top deck the Merchant Camp here. Just going to pick up a Haven. And at this point, the piles are very thin. So we have to keep that in mind. Warlord comes down. So I cannot have more than 2 copies of an action card in play. So right now, you will see on my turn, Sean goes for a Duchy, sensing the endgame. So right now, I have a Haven in play, which means I can only play 1 more Haven from my hand. Subsequent Havens cannot be played. They're as good as, purple cards at that point. Not really, but you know what I mean. They don't do anything. They do not contribute to your turn in any way whatsoever. So under the influence of the Warlord here, I have to be very careful. It's a new card as well. So I play 1 Merchant Camp, 1 Ranger, 1 Conspirator. I definitely want to play 1 other Merchant Camp, so that goes down for sure. Haven draws me into another Haven, which cannot be played. 2 Rangers can also not be played. This would have been a great turn for me, but the Warlord has put a stop to things definitively here. So the Ranger goes into the Haven. I rotate the Warlords away because Sean's deck is better than mine, and he has a greater potential to have me under Warlord lock for the rest of the game. They could always have a Warlord in play, and then I have all these stunted turns. I don't want that. They could have the territory for some points if they like. So Ranger will turn over my token. That is important. And I find the Haggler, so the Haggler goes in play. Up to 9 here, but I am just going to go ahead and get a Province at this point. The end game is here, and I want to stay as much ahead on points as possible. So it's going to be a Province, and it will be a Conspirator. That pile does nothing in terms of the end game. Plus, by now, you see I'm connecting some pieces here. So maybe I could see a bit more value from the Conspirators. Really, that should have been an Innkeeper. I still don't have an Innkeeper that is important for this kind of deck. Still do not have it. Alright, so over to Sean now. They see their Innkeeper, so I expect this turn to be good. Yep, out comes the Ranger to draw a bunch of cards. Battle plan is not going to rotate. They are comfortable with the territory being the top card of the pile. A couple Havens come out. The Archer comes out, nicks a Merchant Camp out the hand. Fortunately, I had 2, so the set aside Ranger will draw cards anyway. They have 7, potentially more, I would guess, unless they're holding 3 estates. So they opt to use, the Merchant Camp as a monkey instead to get some, I don't know for what reason. And they take a territory here and an Innkeeper with 10 and 2 buys. So the territory is going to be worth 2 points for them right now, but when they buy, well, no, 3 points because they have Duchy and estate and territory in their deck. So it's worth 3. When they buy the Province, it'll be worth 4. Merchant Camp Ranger for me, I see my Warlord, fortunately, and on 5 here, It could be duchy, but I don't really like the duchy. I would much rather buy province. So I take the innkeeper. I didn't think there was I was in any danger of losing here because the warlord is a good card. You see how it stunted my turn? I expected to stunt Sean's turn as well. And after the game, he actually told me they could have piled out and won on this turn had I not played the warlord. So thank you, warlord, for stunting my opponent's turn there. So 2 merchant camps for them, 1 ranger, 1 innkeeper. So they allowed 1 more ranger, which they probably want to play just to flip their token over. Maybe a conspirator and a haggler would be left. No more heathens are allowed because they already have 2 in play. Important to note. Opt for 2nd innkeeper. So no more innkeepers are allowed now because of the warlord. Do find the conspirator, the archer comes out. I will discard a merchant camp from me here. And I think the last card they do play is Haggler. Yeah. So they were thinking here between the Haggler and the Ranger, I believe. So the Ranger could flip the token over so that the next time they see the Ranger, they could draw a lot of cards. Instead, they wanted the points, understandable. Go for Province, Haggling, Conspirator. And the last 4 is going to be another Conspirator, Haggling, a Haven. So they have a 7-point lead here. My Ranger is just gonna flip over and my monkey want to get up to duchy. Back to Sean, Warlord comes down. Not good news for me because my hand was looking decent here. However, they are only able to get an estate on that turn. So the decks are not, neither deck is good. We don't have trashing. So I have to keep in mind the Warlord. So I put aside that Haven with the other Haven. I can't play the 3rd Haven anyway. Battle plan, I only have 1 copy of, so that's fine. I rotate the territories away from them because I don't want them to have it. And I also have the choice here of Haggler or Ranger. Ranger to flip my token back over, or Haggler for the extra money and the potential gain. I take the money, I want the points, so I take the coin definitely. I take the favor to clean up my shuffle a little bit. Province, and that will haggle a 2nd innkeeper for me. Finally, it only took what, 15 turns for me to pick up some innkeepers. So Sean draws 2 cards off the warlord. Battle plan comes out, Haven comes out, merchant camp. Where's the ranger? Oh, that's tough for them. That is a very unfortunate draw. They were able to flip their ranger token over, but seeing all those merchant camps early with no terminals is always bad. Doesn't feel good at all. They take the duchy and they top deck a merchant camp. So here I will play 1 merchant camp for sure. That will happen. And now this innkeeper I will use for the +5 discard 6, sorry. +5 discard 6, exclude some green from the shuffle. And unfortunately, the hand looks nice, but then you realize, oh, I have to discard a lot of these cards. Whoops. Anyways, Haven comes out, Ranger flips the token, only able to get up to Duchy here. Take a favor because there's nothing better to take, honestly. I can 5 and 6, there's no real difference between those 2 price points. Alright, so Sean has a big turn here, it seems. Merchant Camp, Ranger. The Innkeeper comes out after, a couple Heathens, Archer. This is probably the best hand I've had for the whole game, and the Archer is going to dent it, which is unfortunate, but that's what happens when they get 1. They rotated it away from me. There wasn't really a good time for me to get an Archer. Get up to 8. The Sean, that is definitely going to be a province, haggling a conspirator as well. So Ranger's going to draw me some cards. I find my Warlord. Always happy to see that. Non-terminal as well, Warlord. Again, here I have a choice. Do I flip the token or do I use the Ranger as a monkey to get up to 8? I think it has to be monkey to get up to 8 here. Just to keep on contesting the points. So province, and we will haggle a conspirator of our own here. Couple rangers for shown, couple conspirators. Remember, the warlord doesn't allow them to play any more than that. Still a good turn for them already. 6 coin on board and 3 buys. Here's an innkeeper. That should find them their haggler, I would imagine. And I have to keep ahead on points because the piles are so thin. If I fall behind, it could leave a very easy pile out for Sean. They don't find their haggler, actually, which is good news for me. They take province, obviously. And we will use our favor again to discard some green from the shuffle. Merchant camp comes down. They didn't find their warlord either, so that's good news for me. Conspirator, battle plan not going to rotate. I don't want to bring it back closer to the territories. Maybe that's wrong. I don't know. And I definitely don't want to turn up another warlord again. Maybe that's wrong. We go for big draw here, looking for haggler ourselves. Have to discard a lot of treasure. But, you know, that's the card, right? Haven. And this only gets me up to duchy here, which is fine. 30 against 32 is not that fine, actually. I think at that point I would have liked to get to province. I need the last 2 provinces to win the game, so breaking penultimate province rule there is not really criminal. However, the deck is only allowing me to get up to duchy, so we take the duchy. Sean doesn't have a great turn either. They take a duchy as well. Passes it back to me. Here's a conspirator. And here's a haggler, actually. That's quite good, but not good enough for province. So again, not much else to do here except take duchy. And, well, now the conspirator pile is thin, so I kind of avoid that. Or opt to avoid that. Go for an innkeeper instead. So I have 3 innkeepers now, which is reasonable, I think, given the size of the deck now. Maybe I reshuffle and see one of them. Maybe. Choosing to turn their ranger into a monkey to get the last duchy. So our pile is out. Merchant camp is at 1 and havens are at 2. Whew. We have to be very, very careful around these piles here. Again, for me, it looks like I just need two provinces to win here. I don't think I can pile out. Innkeeper here actually discards 6 green cards instead of 6 yellow cards, which I was very happy to see. Very, very happy to see. The Warlord comes down, obviously. This Haven was brilliant. Drew me into a merchant camp that will allow me to draw 5 more cards with the Ranger. And I see more conspirators, and actually I'm seeing a lot of money, and this, I felt this was extremely lucky and unreasonable for me to see. I feel like for most of this game, Sean had the better deck. Through the middle, they were showing that they can draw most of their deck. They've had 12 coins one turn. Once we started to green, both decks started to sputter, of course, and this was really, I think, just a lucky break for me here because the win is in hand already. So if you want, pause the video and try to find the win here. Luckily, I also spot it. So you have to use the haggler to win. That helps you to empty the piles very easily. So the province will put me ahead on points, and then I can haggle the merchant camp and then buy the last 2 havens for the win. So we get a very lucky break there in game 1. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.